What's up, guys? Hey, so Tomac went to Canada and this dude meant business. He absolutely destroyed Roczen. A new era of World Supercross has begun. And one thing we know for sure, Vince Friese delivers excitement. This show is presented, as always, by Nano-tech. If you haven't tried this pain cream, it is absolutely amazing. So I used it. I'm a tall guy, so on these long flights, my knees hurt, my back hurts. So I hit up the Nano-tech before I got on the plane, and I swear, this had to have been the easiest flight I've done in a long time. It was a almost 3-hour flight from Vegas. Didn't bother me at all, and that's the first time I can say that with a 3-hour flight. The Nano-tech buy one, get one free with the code COOKSY ends this month. If you want to try this stuff, make sure you do it before the end of the month. You got 3 days, buy one, get one free, put 2 in your cart, use code COOKSY at checkout, and you will get one of those for free. So don't miss out on that. I'm telling you, if you take Advil or Tylenol or any of those pain pills, try this stuff. I think it's way better than those. Special thanks to Ride Strapped. Strapped sent me up to Canada. Chris was supposed to come with me, but he ran into some issues, wasn't able to make it. But I wouldn't have went to the World Supercross if it wasn't for Chris from Ride Strapped. I really appreciate it. He's got the badass goggles, he's got the t-shirts, he's got glasses. Hit up Ride Strapped and let them know you appreciate their patriotism and their support of overall World Supercross. All right, guys, let's get into this.
You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
So a lot of people were kind of buzzing saying, oh, it's an exhibition race. It's no big deal. Tomac's just collecting his money. Same with Roczen. They're not going to give it their all. Yes, they absolutely came to race. And while the World Supercross format is based on paying teams on the performance of their riders, they have shelled out some extra money to get some big names. That's how they got Roczen. That's how they got Tomac. And they have to do this while this series grows. Until this series gets big enough to where that revenue split automatically has guys like Tomac and Roczen coming, they're going to have to do that. So I don't mind them doing that, but I love the fact that Eli Tomac wants a world championship. He wants it bad. And Kenny does not want to relinquish it. Trust me, these guys were racing like everything was on the line. They were hitting that quad and just going full send. Kenny knows how important this is. If he loses this, his days of being one of the top guys might be done. If he gets smoked by Eli, which he did, when they come back to America, is he going to be in that front group? If he gets smoked in the World Supercross, when they come back to America, is he going to be in that top group with Tomac, Sexton, the Lawrence brothers, probably Cooper Webb? I don't know that he'll be that level anymore. He might have just dropped to another level. He looks like he knows that's on the line, and he was out there trying really hard. The Super Pole, when he busted out that kind of triple up onto the on-off, that was sick. And after that first moto, I'm like, oh, okay, Kenny's back. But then, stop me if you've heard this, Kenny faded as the night went on. He just, after he had the crash in the second one, finished way back, I think he got 11th. He never looked the same. He didn't have that fire. It's like he knew he wasn't going to win, so he just kind of, I wouldn't say he mailed it in, but we've seen this part of Kenny in the past. Now, had he put pressure on Eli in that super final, Eli got a flat in the last lap. All he had to do was be close, but he was like 30 seconds behind. It was crazy how far out Eli was. But then again, Eli was in beast mode. I don't know that anyone on earth, including Jet Lawrence, would have beat him that the final moto. Third place in the 450 class went to Joey Savatgy. Joey looks really good on that Honda, that firepower Honda that he's riding. Urive and that team, they do a really good job over there. And I got to meet Urive and chat with him for a little bit. That's a nice guy right there. I like Urive. His team and his effort is second to none. He's down there. They got Davalos. They got McElrath. They got all these guys in there kind of putting their heads together. That is one strong team. And they did win the team, like they have a team trophy for the night, and they deserved that. But yeah, Joey Savatgy, and he's a guy, he's a veteran, man. When he came up on Friese, he knew how to handle it. Listen, part of racing and racecraft is knowing your competitors. If you go on the outside of Vince Friese, he's going to saw off your front end. Joey's well aware of this. So what Joey did is Joey went in, took him high, and left him nowhere to go. And that's how Joey dealt with him. And that's kind of how you have to deal with him, because Vince is there to race, period. But the way Joey handled it is the way everybody should handle it. It was exactly perfect. If you know a guy races aggressive, they won't get mad when you ride them aggressive. And that's what you have to do with Vince. And that's just the way it is. But I think on some of these harder packed tracks, Joey Savatgy with a hole shot, he might be able to hold off those guys for 8 laps. I don't know about when they go 12 laps. And that's something I don't like that about World Supercross. If they're all going to have equal points paid, why is the third and fourth ones longer than the first and second? I think they should all be the same length. And it's crazy to ask them all to go 12 laps. So I think they should cut all the motos down, go 8 laps on each one. You know, once you hit those last few laps, in both those races, those last few laps weren't super exciting, but in the 8-lap races, they were exciting the entire way. So I think that's how you solve the problem. I think we stay with 4 motos, but you just shorten the last 2 to make them the exact same length as the first 2, because they pay the same amount of points. So there's no reason to have 2 longer ones. It doesn't make sense to me. Check out the Coach Rob store. He's got an app that you can download. It will help you figure out your sweat rate. Once you figure out your sweat rate, order your custom energy fuel. It's a recovery drink that they build specifically for you based on your sweat rate. So check that out at thecoachrobstore.com. Check out Epic Garage Designs. Travis is a motocross enthusiast. He absolutely loves the sport, and he has designed some of the coolest flooring, cabinets, slat wall to make your garage, your trailer, or even your pit setup look badass. Go to epicgaragedesigns.com and check that out. If you're shipping anything and you want a shipping company that you can trust, call Precision Transport. That's pretransport.com. It's the Madden family. They believe in customer service, good tracking numbers, and they will make sure your product is shipped where it needs to go at a reasonable price. That's pretransport.com. So I do have to eat some words, eat some crow. I said Colt Nichols looked horrible on that Suzuki, and I didn't expect much from him. But man, I couldn't be happier to be wrong. Colt Nichols is one of the good guys out there, and he's a veteran of the sport. He's had speed in the past. He doesn't have that speed right now, but the true veteran that he is, he understood it was 4 motos, so he stayed consistent. He got better all night long. He didn't make any big mistakes, and he almost found himself on the podium. He did get third in one of the motos. He didn't get third overall, but where he was in practice and qualifying and how bad he looked, like I said, I described him as riding his dad's bike because it looked so big, it looked awkward. Whatever changes they made or whatever confidence he gained, it was well worth it. He looked much more comfortable towards the end of the night, and he rode so smooth and smart. And you didn't notice him that much early in the races, but towards the end, all of a sudden, boom, there he is, right in the mix. Colt Nichols, I'm glad to see him riding good, and I hope that they can keep improving with that team. That team's got Larry Brooks, and Larry Brooks he knows how to help these riders out, the psychology of it. Pipes has got a good guy in Larry Brooks, and as long as they keep him, they're going to have competitive riders. And the guy that got 5th place is my favorite rider, Vince Friese. How do you not like Vince Friese? Well, I understand if you have to race against him, you probably don't like him because he is a dog out there and he fights for every inch of track. He did not do anything egregious. He did nothing that was anything other than hard racing on the night. Yeah, he put it to Mitchell Oldenburg a couple times, but it was racing incidents. And yes, he held his line against, Tomac and Roczen, and he had those guys stacked up. He didn't have the speed early in the night. He just didn't. He struggled in qualifying. He struggled in practice. He was not feeling the track. He was not feeling that dirt. He wasn't comfortable. But the true badass that he is still hole shots, jumps out there and races himself into the pace. And that's exactly what he did. He raced himself into their pace and got faster as the night went on. And he found this line. As soon as the track got rutted up, the far rhythm section, he was one of the only guys that was jumping off rhythm. He would hit one of the first ones, and where everybody else was tripling in, he was using that first one as a downside and tripling all the way out. Towards the end, he made up so much time there. It really did save his night there. That was a beautiful line, and I'm surprised more guys didn't pick up on that. And man, in that first main, I thought Vince was done for the night. You saw what Roczen did in the Super Pole where he he tripled up onto the table, the on-off. Friese tried it. Once they got around him, he wanted to get Savatgy back, and he was going for it, and he tried it. Holy crap. He cased so hard, I think it shook the press box. There was a gigantic chunk out. I thought he ripped his pegs off or got hurt. I have no idea how he didn't. That was one of the hardest hits I've ever seen. He just kind of rolled through it, took off, and was fine. Vince is tough. You cannot ever question his heart, his desire. He's older, but he gets better and better every year, and he keeps fighting. And man, I like watching that guy anytime he rides. Mitchell Oldenburg was a little bit frustrated with Vince Friese. He was trying to pass Friese. Oldenburg had some speed, and typical Oldenburg, man, on that 450, I think he looks a lot better. He looks really good. At times, he looks like he could be a podium threat, no problem. He does some of the stuff on the bike that only like Tomac and Roczen do. You see those flashes out of Oldenburg, and he easily could be up there on that podium if he's given the starts and, and his racecraft is better, and he doesn't make mistakes. He has a tendency to make a lot of mistakes. But when he came up on Friese, they were teammates last year, and they're buddies, so maybe he made the mistake of thinking, oh, I can go on the outside of Friese. He won't hit me. Nah, man, once that helmet's on, Vince Friese has no friends. So he hit his front tire a couple times, sent Oldenburg back. Oldenburg went to class, and he's like, okay, so if this is how we're going to ride, this is how we're going to ride, and he put Vince down. Savatgy took Vince wide, and then Oldenburg came underneath and just cleaned out Vince's front. And the great thing about Vince, he didn't complain. If you're going to ride like that, when it comes back on you, you deal with it. But that's just hard racing. That's racing from the 90s. I like it. I want to see more of that. But I really liked what I saw out of Mitchell Oldenburg, and I do think he's really good on that 450, and I think he could very well be a contender. Remember how good he looked in Australia on the 450? It suits him very well. And he's riding for Ware Racing. I got to meet Ware. What a cool dude. This is a guy that really loves racing in general, and I love that he brought out some really fast 250 riders. He's got Oldenburg and Luke Clout in the 450s. He had a solid team, man, and they look really good with their Arby's logos on the bikes. Good job, Ware Racing. I want to send my best to Cedric Soubeyras. He had a nasty crash in practice, and I think he was the only real injury on the night. A lot of people talked about the track was dangerous because it got soft and it had some rocks in it. Yeah, it's not ideal, but it's dirt bike racing. You get different conditions, and it wasn't ideal. It is what it is. You have to change your riding style to fit the different tracks. Unfortunately, Soubeyras, in the timed qualifying session, I believe it was, or either timed or the first qualifying session, he crashed in the first rhythm section, and it was bad. He immediately knew. He waved over to the medics immediately, stayed on his side. It looked like a dislocated hip. I don't know what it was, but it was pretty bad. They immediately took him off, took him to the hospital, and that's tough. I mean, this is a guy that comes from France. He's all the way over in Canada. Now he's got to go to the hospital. Who knows when he'll get to fly home? And when he does, now he's got to make that long flight with a hip that's jacked up. Man, this is a brutal sport, and it's tough on these guys. Sending my best to Cedric Soubeyras. Hope you heal up soon and get back there quick. That looked very nasty, and yeah, I was definitely concerned for Cedric Soubeyras. So being back in the pits and around the races again after being banned from, the organization that is Feld and MX Sports, it was nice to be back welcomed in by World Supercross. They appreciate that I call what I see, and that's it. I call what I see. My information's accurate. The other organizations get mad when I show some controversial stuff. It's controversial stuff that happens, like people throwing water bottles off the track or yelling. They're protecting this image. They're not. They're being stupid, and they're not telling the accurate stories. Now, we don't need to create this drama, but when it's there, we can still focus on it. We can tell that story, and they totally get that. I thank them for letting me come there and tell the story as I see it. I did get a little weird looks and kind of the cold shoulder from a couple people. There's this guy that works at Monster. I think his name's Eric Johnson. He's like 60 years old. He's got this bleach blonde hair, really creepy looking. When I went over and asked why Tomac was late to the time session, I said, well, what was wrong with the bike? Like, why wasn't he out there? They had to do an engine swap. This dude just jumps up and stares at me. Man, I was getting some Jared from Subway vibes from this dude. I'm sorry. You get that, ooh, this guy looks creepy. I don't know why, but that Eric Johnson dude is weird, and he can kiss my ass. I guess he's really good friends with Davey Coombs, so maybe that's why he doesn't like me and gave me the stank eye. I'm not the one that looks like a 60-year-old creeper, so easy, bro. And another guy that kind of gave me the cold shoulder was Dustin Pipes from Pipes Motorsports. He used to race Supercross. I thought we were cool. I was like, hey, what's up, Dustin? He was dressed like Neo from The Matrix, looking all cool, and Neo plus about 150 pounds. He is not at his racing weight, that's for dang sure. Dustin Pipes has been eating well, but he's dressed all like Neo from Matrix, and I just said hi, and he just gave me the look. I'm like, oh man, I wonder why he's pissed. But I forgot. He's friends with Rich Taylor, so maybe that's why Dustin Pipes doesn't like me. But hey, now that I made fun of his weight and what he was wearing, he can be mad at me for real. And I did think Cade Clayson wasn't happy with me because, remember when he had the issues with Stank Dog and I took Stank Dog's side? I thought Cade was pissed at me, and we were joking, and I was walking by the autograph line and somebody said, oh, Cooksey. and he was getting an autograph from Cade Clay. So I go, easy, Cade doesn't like me. He turns around and goes, what are you talking about? No, man, we're cool. And he gives me knuckles. So apparently Cade and I were good. I appreciate it. I respect all those dudes. They're all badasses. And when I say stuff, I don't mean it completely disrespectful. Well, maybe towards Eric Johnson. That's meant to be disrespectful. I mean, he hangs out with, as Moto Jones says, Davey P. Diddy Coombs, so who knows what kind of weird stuff that guy's into. But for the most part, this motocross community is awesome. And I got to hang out with the MCR team, talk to some of the Phoenix Honda guys, and it's always great to see Dean Wilson. And I think my favorite guy in the pits, Vince Friese's dad. I could hang out with this guy forever. He is really cool, down to earth, straight shooter, told me some things about what I do on my channel that he doesn't like, that he does like. But I told him, I was like, listen, I'll give you my straight opinion. I said, feel free to call me up and let me know if I get it wrong. I have a lot of respect for the Friese family, and now meeting his dad, even more. So count me as a fan of Vince Friese's dad. That dude's cool. All right, guys, I'll be back with the 250 wrap-up tomorrow. Thanks for the support. I really appreciate it. And here is your member of the day. And remember, everybody who is a member, you are entered to win the custom-painted CRS helmet from Coach Rob. We'll be giving that out before Anaheim. So all members who've joined, you're automatically